Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Scratch Learners. Today we are going to discuss the C++ code of iterative quickshot algorithm. In the last video we had discussed about recursive quickshot algorithm, in which we have discussed the algorithm with the example, the complexity and the C++ code. If you don't know about recursive quickshot algorithm, then please check it out from the I button. So let's begin with the iterative quickshot algorithm. Here we are using two functions, quick and partition. Okay, so let's start from the main block. This is our main block. Here we are inputting the number of elements in the variable n, and we are entering all the elements of the array in the array A at location I, and we are calling this function quick with the arguments the array and the size of the array n. See, this is the code for the function quick. Here we are initializing top with 0, and we are having some variables like start, end, log, and here we are having two arrays. The first is low stack and the second one is up stack. That means these are the arrays which will behave like stack here. Okay, I am initializing the 0th index of low stack as 0 and the 0th index of up stack as n-1. That means the 0th index of low stack contains the lower bound of the array, and the 0th index of up stack contains the upper bound of the array. Here see, I am considering this array containing 4 elements, 12, 3, 15 and 9. Okay, here the indexes are 0 to 3. So 0 is stored in the 0th index of low stack, and the index 3 is stored in the 0th index of up stack. So these are two arrays used for managing the lower bound and upper bound of the sub arrays. Now we are repeating this loop while top is greater than equals to -1. We are initializing top equals to 0, and here we are setting start equals to low stack at the location top. So the value of top was 0, and at the 0th index we have initialized 0. So start will be 0 and the value of end will be up stack at location top. So it will be n-1. That means start equals to 0 and end equals to n-1, right? Now we are decrementing the value of top by 1 because we have accessed the values of start and end. These are behaving like stack. Now we are calling this function partition with the arguments the array, the start index and the end index. So start is the 0th index and end is the last index. Here is the code for the function partition. See, this is our array in which we are going to implement this program, and start is at the 0th index and end is at the last index, that is the third index here. Here we are setting pivot equals to start, so this will also be the value of pivot element. Okay, and left equals to 1. Here the variable left is used for managing the works of the left subarray. Okay, I am initializing it with 1, and here we are having an infinite loop within which if left equals to 1 we are going to implement these statements. So if pivot equals to end, here the value of pivot is 0 and the value of end is 3. So is 0 equals to 3? No. Then we will check this condition. If element at the pivot index is greater than the element at the end index, so the element at the pivot element is 12, right? And the element at the end index is 9. So is 12 greater than 9? Yes. So what we'll do? We will swap both the elements, that is the element at the pivot index and the element at the end index. So 9 will be stored here, then 3, then 15 and then 12. Okay, as 12 and 9 will be swapped. Here start and pivot were 0, right? Now start equals to pivot plus 1. So 0 plus 1 equals to 1. So the value of start will be 1. Okay, and pivot equals to end. What was the value of end? End was 3, right? So pivot equals to end. So this index 3 will be the value of pivot, and we will set left equals to 0. As now left is not equals to 1 and it is equals to 0. So we will execute the statement within the else block. Now within the else block we need to check if start equals to pivot. So the value of start is 1 and the value of pivot is 3. So is 1 equals to 3? No. So we will check this condition if the element at the start index is greater than the pivot index. What is the element at the start index? It is 3 and the element at the pivot index is 12, right? So is 3 greater than 12? No. So this is also not satisfied. Then so we will execute start plus plus. That means we will increment the value of the start index by 1. So now start will be the second index. Now again we will execute these statements, right? So again we will check if start equals to pivot. So it is also not true. So we will now check this condition if the element at the start index is greater than the element at the pivot index. So is 15 greater than 12? Yes. So we will swap the elements, right? We will swap the element at the start index with the element in the pivot index. So 12 will come to this position and 15 will go in the last index, right? Now end equals to pivot minus 1. What is the value of pivot? It is 3. That is the last index, right? So it will be 3 minus 1 equals to 2. That means this index, the index in which 12 is stored, will be the value of end, and the value of pivot will be updated by start. So what was the value of start? It was also the second index. So this is also the value of pivot. And left equals to 1. That means now we can execute the statements within this block. So here just see pivot and end points to the same index, that is the index 2, right? So now within this loop we will check if pivot equals to end. Yes, see here the pivot and end index are the same, right? So we will return the value of pivot. And what is the value of pivot? It is 2. And what does it mean? It means that the element 12 is now stored at its shorted position. See among all these 4 elements, the shorted position of 12 is the index 2 and it is stored in its shorted index. That's why we are returning the value of pivot from this function and it will return back to the function quick. So this will return here, right? And the index 2 will be stored in the lock variable, and this is our array after the first pass. Now we will check this condition if start is less than lock minus 1, right? What is the value of start? Start is equals to 0, that is the lower bound, and lock is the value which is returned, that is the value 2. So is 0 less than 2 minus 1? Yes. So we will execute these statements. We will increment the value of top by 1. That means now top equals to 1, right? And we will store the value of the start in the first index of the array low stack. And the value of start is 0. So in this position 0 will be stored, and at the top position of up stack we will store lock minus 1, that is 2 minus 1 equals to 1. So this location contains the value 0 and this location contains the value 1. Now we will check this condition if lock plus 1 is less than end. The value of lock plus 1 equals to 2 plus 1 equals to 3, and 3 is less than 3. No. So we will not execute these statements, and again the control will go here as top is greater than minus 1. So start will be this value, that is 0, and end will be 1. That means now we will call this function partition which will deal with these two elements. See what's happening here. We have got the position of this element, right? This is the shorted position of the element 12. Now we are left with two subarrays, the left subarray and the right subarray. So now we are calling this function for the right subarray, that is the element 9 and 3. So now again control will come to this function partition, and now the elements are 9 and 3 and their indexes are 0 and 1, right? So now pivot equals to start. That means the first index, that is the index 0, will be the value of pivot and start. The value of end is 1, right? So this is end. Now we will check this condition if pivot equals to end. No, here 0 is not equals to 1. So now we will check this condition if the element at the pivot is greater than the element at the end. So is 9 greater than 3? Yes. So we will swap both the elements. Here we have swapped 9 with 3. And we will set start equals to pivot plus 1. What was the value of pivot? It was 0. So now start will be pivot plus 1, that means 1. So this is start and pivot equals to end. The value of end is also this index only, right? So this will also be the value of pivot and the end index will be this only. That means all the three index have the value 1, right? And left equals to 0. So now we will not execute these statements and will move towards this else statement. So in this else statement, if start equals to pivot, yes, here start and pivot have the same value. So we will return the value of pivot, that means we will return the index 1. So here after getting the element, we will have a left sub array which will look like this. 12 will be the previous pivot element and 15 will be the element in the right sub array, right? Now we will again check these two conditions. If start is less than log minus 1, no. And if log plus 1 is less than end, no. So these conditions are not satisfied. And now top is equals to minus 1. So we will come out of this loop and now we have got our sorted array. See, this is the sorted array in which all the elements are in their sorted position. So this is how this iterative quicksort algorithm works. Now let's run this program. So let me run this program with the same values, that is 12, 3, 15 and 9. So the number of elements are 4 and the elements are 12, 3, 15 and 9. See, this is our sorted array, right? Now let's again run this program with a large set of values. Let the number of elements be 9 and the elements be in the descending order, okay, as we need to sort them in ascending order. So this is the worst case and here we have got the elements in the ascending order, that is in the sorted order. So this is how the iterative quicksort algorithm works. If you are having any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. And if you like this video, please show some support by subscribing the channel. Thank you.